So can I meet you guys? What are your names?
I'm Jake.
I'm Cody Cannon. Nice to meet you.
And I'm Anthony.
Anthony. Jake,
Yes.
Cody, Anthony.
Yes.
Cool. And you guys are stand-up comics as well?
Yes.
I'm a stand-up comic. Anthony's a writer, and Jake has like his own radio show and does sketch comedy and stuff.
Oh, very cool. Okay, nice to meet you guys. And how long have you been doing this podcast?
Like 2 months?
2 months, yeah, just a couple months.
Oh, so very new.
Yeah, we all met doing stand-up in New York.
Oh, cool. I did stand up in New York actually until very, very recently.
I know. We saw.
Well,
When
recently.
when did you leave New York?
Late 2019, so like right before the pandemic.
Oh, nice. And how long were you there for?
I was there for 4 years. I was in college. Yeah, so I came home after I graduated college, and I meant to, like, I was planning on going back, and then COVID hit, and it just like didn't make any sense to go back. So I've just been here for a year and a half now. But I do very much miss New York. I'm actually like trying to go back to LA. So like if I leave Houston, it would be to go to LA.
Nice.
But it was fun. It was like a really great place to get my start. That's my history with New York. I went to Fordham University, graduated last May. Not last May. 2 Mays ago. Oh my God.
Yeah, I live right by Fordham, so I'm pretty close to there.
Fordham Lincoln Center or Fordham Rose Hill?
Yeah, no, I'm Fordham in the Bronx.
Oh, so yeah, that's where I went. So you live in the Bronx?
Yeah.
Oh, very cool. Wow. Yeah, I think it's a very underrated borough. Like it's just so full of like cool art and culture. I know the street that Fordham is on is where Cardi B grew up, and like a lot of cool people went to school there too, like David Copperfield, the magician, and Amanda Seyfried and Lana Del Rey and stuff. Denzel Washington is the one we never shut the fuck up about. Every time someone brings up alumni, we're like, Denzel. Yeah, I mean, it was fun. I've had my issues with the school currently, even so, like with the COVID vaccine crisis in India, they're not saying anything, but they send like kids on a mission trip to India like every year, where I went on that mission trip because I was like, oh, I'm Indian, cool, I can contribute to the community. We didn't do anything. We did like 2 or 3 hours of service work, and at the end of the service trip, everyone would just like get into, we had these like reflection sessions, which I guess would have been effective if we actually did anything, right? But we were just like sitting around in these circles, and then we would talk about like what the 1 hour of service work we did that day, and all these kids would start fucking crying. They'd be like, oh my God, like the impact that I had on this person just like moved me so much. I'm like, man, what the fuck did you do? Like, what impact are you talking about? And then the leader, who's like the whitest, like he could not get any more Caucasian, he got the coordinates of the place that we volunteered at tattooed on his bicep. Ugh. And I was like, what? You went here like 3 times. You did a total of like 2 hours, maybe 3 hours of work if we're being liberal with it. Like if I, look, if I got the coordinates of places that I went to and did nothing in and cried tattooed on my body, I would have like the coordinates of like 7 McDonald's. You know? Like, I just don't, like, it's just.
That's awesome.
So I was just so mad because Fordham like sends these like non-Indian kids on this mission trip every year where they just go do nothing. It's a lot of sightseeing. Like they take you on tours and boat rides and stuff. They do like an hour or 2 of service work. And now they're fucking completely silent about this COVID vaccine crisis. And I was so angry. I was like, why? You know? Yeah, anyway, that's what I've been pressed about for the past 24 hours.
Were you born in India?
No, I wasn't born in India. I was born and brought up here. I did almost go to India for college, though.
Nice.
And I feel about India the way I feel about America, like very conflicted. Like the government sucks. They don't really do anything for their citizens. But I do hold a lot of pride in being from there, if that makes sense. Like I think that the culture is really cool. As with any society, there are a lot of flaws. Like I think most glaringly, their prime minister is like if you took Trump and made him like 100 times worse. Whoa, and he's like not really doing anything during the COVID vaccine crisis. And, you know, there's a lot of issues there, like similar to racism here. There's a lot of issues there that like there's so many nuances with like different religions. And then within the religion, there's a caste system. And then there are lots of like non-Hindu Indian people. They face a lot of discrimination for not being Hindu and stuff. But like, I don't know, it's all very conflicting, but now they're suffering because of a COVID vaccine crisis, which affects everyone, obviously, but it affects the poorest people and the low caste and the non-Hindu people the most. And so it's just hard. I mean, like India's already struggling like as a country, I think, when it comes to a lot of social progressive issues. And I feel like this COVID just like exacerbated all of those things in like the worst way possible, you know?
Yeah, that makes sense.
Damn, that's heavy.
Yeah, exactly. Not to ruin the mood. I know this is a podcast.
No.
Welcome to Comics and Chronic. I am Jacob H. As always, I am joined by Anthony Iannaccio and Cody Willaka Cannon. Today we have a very special guest. She's a very funny comedian, writer, actor, I presume?
Not yet.
Not yet. Okay.
Hopefully
well,
soon.
Soon to be actor. And did you do a TED Talk?
I did too, as a matter of fact.
She did too. And a TED Talker. Please welcome to the show, Abby Govindan.
Thank you so much for having me. Hello, guys. I was saying jokingly, like I remember in high school, I was saying like, oh, we're well overdue for a pandemic. And then Trump came into office and like disbanded the pandemic whatever committee task force. And then within a year or two of him doing that, we got another pandemic. And I know that like, I think that one thing that like really marks this pandemic differently from previous pandemics, like I know there were always naysayers and anti-vaxxers. I think that we all, me included, did think we were indestructible. Like we're like, oh, it's 2020, like, modern medicine, like there's nothing that we can't really tackle. And then along comes this vaccine that really feels like it was pulled like from the depths of like a fucking like pandemic movie, you know, it's airborne. You can get it more than once. Like the antibodies don't last forever. It mutates, which is crazy. We just learned that a couple of months ago that like we've been wearing masks and we were like, oh, we're doing so well. Like numbers are going down. And then the COVID virus mutated to move through masks. And now we need 2 masks in public, you know, just like the worst virus ever, like just a terrible virus. And so I always say like, in a way, it really feels like if like Parks and Rec wrote an episode about a pandemic, you know, and it's so crazy.
Yeah. Well, also, will you be smoking with us today? You don't have to by any means.
You don't have to. That's kind of the gist of our show. We're called Comics and Chronic, and we tend to smoke weed. And
that's what Chronics is? Oh, yeah. No, I definitely would have if I had scheduled this at a different time.
No, it's totally cool.
I don't smoke. I do edibles because I'm like worried about my lungs. I'm genetically predisposed to lung cancer, but I love weed. Like I love it.
Yeah.
I've lost so many brain cells, I feel like, in the last year.
You probably gained a lot of friends, so.
Gained a lot of, I mean, if friends is another word for weight.
Yeah.
What I've been doing for the last 2 months is getting high and watching iCarly. By the way, that show becomes like 100 times. Like the thing is, when I was a kid, I used to think that show was fucking hilarious. Like I was like, oh, pinnacle of comedy. I grew up and I watched it. It's a little corny. Like the punchlines, obviously, like
it's
they just
super corny.
I mean, they just throw in that laugh track anywhere. Like Carly will be like, hey Sam, what do you have? Laugh track. And Sam will be like, I have ham. Laugh track for 2 minutes. I'm like, what's so funny? But then I get high and I watch it and I'm like, oh my God, this is the pinnacle of comedy. Like this is the height. This is a comedic masterpiece. Like no one else understands it, but I do. Like it's like commentary, you know, on internet culture, on youth culture. And I always say that like shows to me become a lot more profound when I'm high. Does this happen to you guys?
For sure. Absolutely. Yes.
Well, first of all, let me ask, do you guys smoke indica or sativa or hybrid?
It depends. Right now I'm smoking sativa.
Oh, I mean, I can't do sativa. I can't do hybrid. Like that shit sends me into a loop. I'm very much an indica person. Like it mellows me out.
I prefer indica too. Yeah. Sativa just, it's too much energy. I don't want energy when I smoke. I just want to chill.
Oh, I want all the energy.
So have you guys seen the show Emily in Paris?
No, but I know the story behind your infamous tweet.
Yeah.
So, but for those for the listeners that don't know, I would love for you to tell that story because it's fucking hilarious.
Oh, yeah. Well, here's the thing. When you're on the internet, you can just say you did anything and everyone will believe you. Like, that's just the gist of the story. Like, I just started going online. Like, when the show came out in October, I was like, hey, I created Emily in Paris. And like, it's silly to say, but it was an inside joke between me and like I had like 90,000 followers at the time. And everyone was like, she didn't create Emily in Paris. But then it blew up when the Golden Globe nominations came out. A lot of people took it at face value. They were like, oh, like I remember there was a few podcast episodes that people sent me with like famous podcasters. I don't remember which ones now, but like they were like talking about like current events of the week. And then one guy, so there was one podcast hosted by 3 guys, just like you actually. And one of the guys was like, so the creator of Emily in Paris this week came forward and said she created the show as a joke. And one of the other hosts was like, whoa, is that real? And he goes, yeah, she has 100,000 followers. Of course it's real. And I was like, that's not how that works. And so what I've learned with the internet is you really can just say anything. And if you have enough followers, people will just believe you. And I think that's cool. Fun life hack. Anyway, Emily in Paris, terrible show. Like, no reason words about it. Just terrible. No redeeming qualities. It's about a girl who's just like insufferable. And like, she's the type of insufferable that like everyone knows an Emily for sure. Like I watched Emily in Paris and I was like, I know 10 girls like this. Girls who have no redeeming qualities, who are just so annoying and who think that they're the main character of everyone else's life, but there's nothing really special about them. Like there really is nothing special about Emily.
What is this show about?
It's about Emily in Paris. Like what?
What does she do? What does she do?
She just explained it. She does nothing.
In Chicago. She lived in Chicago. She worked in a marketing firm. She's supposed to be 22 years old. No one fucking believes
I already
that.
hate this. I regret asking.
Yeah. Lily Collins is like almost 30, right? Lily Collins does look really young for her age, so I give you that. But the way that Emily carries herself is not the demeanor of a 22-year-old by any means.
Yeah.
Because I feel like 22-year-olds know their place in society. Like, I don't know a lot of 22-year-olds who just walk around confidently telling people how to live their life. Like, that's a very, like, solidly 27, 28-year-old thing to do. Anyway, it's about this, like, annoying girl who works at a marketing firm in Chicago, and her boss is going to move to Paris to, like, be be in charge of marketing at their Paris branch. And then her boss gets pregnant, and she's like, I need someone else to go. And instead of choosing, like, an equal or someone that a colleague, she chooses like her intern.
What?
And so Emily just moves to Paris on a whim, and she gets there and she's just insufferably American. Like she doesn't has no redeeming qualities. So here's what I was saying earlier, right? Most people who act like Emily do face consequences. Like I know very many Emilys in my life who I just stopped talking to. And it wasn't just me. And it's not even just like it's not even just like a bullying thing. Like when someone just like constantly treats you like a side character in their life, it's very exhausting, you know? And so like me and my best friend,
yeah, Caroline, Cody and Anthony
watched Emily in Paris, and we were like, no, but
we're not the side characters in your life, Jake.
I'm the side character in your lives.
Oh, for sure.
Everyone's a side. Here's the important rule of thumb. Everyone's a side character. But like, I mean, like we had so many girls in college who treat us like side characters in their lives, and we just stopped being friends with them. Not to bully them, not to exclude them, but just because that energy becomes exhausting. So here's the thing. When you act like Emily in real life, there are social consequences for sure. Like people stop talking to you. People talk about you behind your back. Like no one invites you to anything. Here's the thing though. Emily acts like she has main character syndrome, but for Emily, unlike for everyone else who has main character syndrome in real life, for Emily, she actually is the main character of the show. So she faces no consequences for just acting super insufferable, right? And so
that's
it's just
not like
annoying.
The point of the show. Like by the end of the season, she's not like a better person.
Not even kind of. She's even more insufferable. Because, you know why she's more insufferable? Because, like I said, unlike everyone else with main character syndrome, she's actually the main character of the show. So they entertain all this nonsense from her. So she's like going around to like these French fashion moguls and being like, you need to be more American. And she's going around to her boss and being like, you're doing things wrong. And like, if someone tried that shit in real life, they would get kicked to the curb so fast. But these guys are just like, yeah, sounds good. And they change. And so by the end of the season, she just feels unstoppable, literally.
Oh my God.
And so the reason I bring this show up is because I watched it sober and I was like, this show fucking sucks. There's not a single time that I've laughed out loud. She's annoying. And then I watched it again high and I was like, oh my God, this show's fucking genius. And my friends were like, why do you think that? And I was like, it's clearly a satire of this genre of television where dumb white girls just like fail their ways upward in life. And here's the thing, it wasn't satire. Like, it wasn't made with a satirical intention at all. Like, everything about the show is so like genuine. But if it were a satire, it'd be a work of genius. And that's the only something I could see when I was high. Like, when I was sober, I was like, this show sucks. But when I was high, I was like, oh my God, this is a masterpiece. This is commentary.
This show is so bad that it's incredible.
Yeah, exactly. Well, are there any shows you guys feel that way about? Like, when you watch it sober, you're like, what the fuck is this? But when you watch it high, you're like, oh my God, this is profound.
I mean, to bring back iCarly, I have a son, and when my baby mama was pregnant, she was like really into iCarly. So just to like make her happy, I watched a ton of iCarly with her. Like, sober, I was like, what am I doing? But then I'd step out onto the patio and hit a joint a couple times and come inside and be like, this show is incredible.
Yeah, exactly. Oh my God, literally, exactly. Yeah.
At one point in the pandemic, I started watching the Brady Bunch.
What?
Where did you get that? Did you stream that?
I streamed it somehow. I found it somewhere. But I'm not even saying it's incredible, but I don't know. It's just so bad that I kept watching it because it's just like no one's family is like this. No one's family was ever like this. And like it takes place. It was made in the 70s, but it's not like they're reflecting a 70s lifestyle in any real way.
Wait, it takes place in the 70s? I thought it took place in the 50s. Was it a color TV show? It was black and white.
Yeah.
No, the Brady Bunch is
that's
color.
what I'm saying. Like,
oh, wow.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
Is that does that one have a laugh track?
Does it? Yeah, it does. It does.
Is it a laugh track or is it a live
music.
studio audience?
Oh,
Because
I
there's
don't
a
know.
difference.
They don't say the thing about the live studio audience, so it could be a laugh track.
I wonder how they did that in the 70s, though.
Yeah,
I
I don't
have
know.
no idea. That's a good question.
The thing with laugh traps that drives me up a fucking wall is like all TV shows use the exact same one. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Apparently, all the people they recorded have been like dead like for decades.
Yeah, so like the laugh tracks that they used, and this is what I read. I never like researched or verified or anything, but I read that the laugh tracks
But
that
we're just
they
gonna
used.
put it out there.
Yeah, exactly. This is fact now. Just like the fact that I created Emily in Paris. No, the laugh tracks that they use evidently are from I Love Lucy. Like the laughs were from that studio islands were so like you know, lively and so like genuine that it just became like standard television practice to use those laughs, which I think is crazy. It's so insane to me because they're so obviously using the exact same laugh tracks across TV shows to the point where like I've kind of made stories for some of the people in the audiences. Do you know what I'm talking? Like you guys look confused, but like when they use the exact same laugh tracks, there are a few ones where like someone's super loud or someone like laughs a little bit past when everyone else stops, and it sounds the exact same in like every show. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, like those standout laughs.
Yeah.
Have you guys noticed in movies and like this? I feel like you guys. There's a scream. There's always that one kind of scream that people do, and it's in every movie. It's usually when a guy falls off.
Oh, the Wilhelm scream.
The Wilhelm scream.
Yeah,
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But that's in every movie.
Really? I didn't know that.
Wait, Cody, how does it sound?
I can't do it again. Lifetime.
Do you know what I'm talking about or no?
No, I actually don't. But I've been learning a lot of movie like mechanics that I didn't know. Like, do you guys know what Chekhov's gun is?
Yeah.
You do?
I do not.
So it's the principle that if they introduce a gun in the first act of the movie, the gun will go off in the third act of the movie. And then I thought about it, and literally every movie where there's a gun in the first act, it has gone off. I don't know about third act. Like, I don't know how second act and third act work, but it goes off somewhere near the second half of the film. And so.
Yeah. And I guess it's not always a gun. It's like in like Avengers or something, the cosmic cube. Once you see it in the beginning of the movie, you know, by the end, someone's got to use it.
Oh, I didn't know it doesn't apply to gun. That's so cool.
Oh, that's
so
cool.
Yeah, it applies to any kind of object that they do
like
the same
a
thing
weapon
with.
of sorts.
Yeah,
maybe?
and it doesn't even always have to be a weapon. It could just be something that has
An
action.
item of change.
Yeah.
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 So that's cool. I would almost say that
Interesting.
like Pulp Fiction, Quentin Tarantino does the exact opposite. In the beginning, the gun goes off when they blow that dude's head off, and then it ends with them walking out the diner.
Oh man.
And then they also have a MacGuffin in Pulp Fiction, which is the suitcase, which is nothing. Like it doesn't go off. They just open it. It's just
They
the
never
light.
say what it is. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I've never watched Pulp Fiction.
What?
Whoa.
That's crazy. I tried to watch it in high school because every like boy that I knew was obsessed with it, and I was like,
Yeah,
I was like trying to get dick down, you know. And, like I tried watching it, I just like could not. Like it just didn't make any sense to me. I don't know. Maybe I'll revisit it as an adult.
No,
it's a great movie.
It is great.
No, but we can't tell her to watch it because that's just gonna keep
Well, so here's one thing, like. One movie that everyone was like, this is the best movie I've ever seen was Kill Bill. And I remember watching it and being like, why? You know, like, why is this the best movie I've ever seen? But it might be one of those things. Like, I watched a lot of movies in high school that I don't think I had the capacity to appreciate at the time. Like, I watched Don John just because I was like really horny for Joseph Gordon-Levitt, and I watched it, and I like it won a couple of awards, but it was just about. Have you guys seen Don John?
I totally forgot about that movie, but
Scarlett
I know what
Johansson plays his girlfriend.
With Scarlett Johansson.
He's like this Italian from Staten Island or some shit.
Yeah, exactly. And,
and
he's like,
he has the accent and everything.
Yeah, and he's like addicted to porn, and it like ruins his relationships. And like, I just thought it was very anticlimactic. But looking back on it as an adult, like what I didn't notice is that they were making commentary not only on porn addiction, but also on Scarlett Johansson's like obsession with rom-coms and how that ruins relationships for her in the same way that his obsession with porn ruins sex for him. And
interesting.
And
That's crazy.
there are just so many movies like that. Like, yeah, like I didn't really like Atonement is another one of them. Have you guys seen Atonement?
I've seen Atonement. I love sad movies.
Yeah, so I'm not going to spoil the ending for you. There is a twist ending, but I watched it again, horny for Benedict. I was a very horny teenager. If this is, I was horny for Benedict Cumberbatch after like seeing him in Sherlock, and I decided to watch like every single thing he was ever in. And Atonement is the story of a girl who falsely accuses a man of sexual assault, like a little girl. She's like 6 or 7, and so the story follows this man and his girlfriend, like as they kind of go on through life with this accusation hanging over both of them.
Is that with Philip Seymour Hoffman?
And as a kid, I was like,
No.
I don't know. Maybe.
Never mind. I'm thinking of something else.
I don't know. Is
so.
Keira James? It's James McAvoy for sure. And then I don't remember the woman in it. She's famous. It might be Keira Knightley. I don't think so. But James McAvoy.
You're thinking of The Master, I think, Jake.
No.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, but like I watched it as a 14-year-old. I was like, this isn't a good movie at all. But then like I revisit, like I just remembered the plot of it like a couple years ago, and I was like, damn, that was really profound. And I just like didn't have the capacity to understand it.
I feel like I'm that way with a lot of movies. Like I feel like I watch a lot of stupid movies, and then I force myself to watch like the movies that everyone is like, oh, that's the best movie ever. And then you kind of get like a movie literacy. So you start to, appreciate even the stupider movies for being like, oh, okay, you got it wrong. That's how I know you're a bad movie, but I know how it's supposed to be. So
exactly.
Yeah.
No, I literally, same with TV shows. Like I watched a lot when I was obsessed, like in high school. I was really obsessed with TV shows in high school. And I rewatched a few of them. Like I watched How I Met Your Mother. That was my favorite show in high school.
Yeah, I like that. I liked How I Met Your Mother.
Yeah.
I liked is the important
for me.
because I rewatched it as an adult and I was like, this show fucking sucks. Like,
yeah, it does.
Well, like Barney is like I feel like could be like indicted on some like felony, for like because like he has that like fucking the playbook. Do you guys remember the playbook?
Yeah.
It's just a handbook on how to like drug women, how to trick them into sleeping with you, like all this nonsense. And Ted was just creepy. He was a stalker. Like every woman he met, he was like, she's the one, and I'm gonna treat her as such. I'm gonna follow her around. I'm gonna obsess over her, whatever. And then the other 3 friends, Robin, Lily, and Marshall, were, in my opinion, just as guilty as they were, because they like Ted and Barney were pulling all this trick shit, and they just kind of sat around and were like, haha, cute, and like I remember like Marshall, if you guys remember, ends up becoming like a federal judge, like on the New York federal whatever, right?
Oh yeah, that's like his dream job or something.
That's his dream job, and he gets it. But Marshall, like in like season 4 or 5 admits that he's read the entire playbook cover to cover. And I was like, so what exactly is your judgment here if you knew of all of the illegal things that Barney was doing and you're still being put on like the New York federal court, you know?
The way I see How I Met Your Mother, it's like kind of like Always Sunny. Like Always Sunny, they're all terrible people and they know they're terrible people, or maybe they don't, but that's the joke, right? They're terrible people who do terrible things. But How I Met Your Mother, they're not, you know, that layer is gone. They're not acting like they're, you know?
Exactly. So I actually did try to get into, it took me a while to get into It's Always Sunny because I watched it when I was like, like it was in 2017, right? And so I was pretty young then, and my boyfriend at the time, it was his favorite show, and I tried watching it, and I was just like, this show is so problematic. Like, you know, he says the N-word, it's like transphobic at first in the first few episodes.
Oh yeah, and yeah.
The one episode that I rewatch all the time that like still fucking kills me is the abortion one when he like gets the pro-lifer pregnant, and he was like, oh no, you need an abortion. But anyway, like I remember the first few times I watched it, I was like, this is problematic. But then I talked to more people about it, and they were like, no, like that's the point. So like How I Met Your Mother doesn't hold up, and Friends doesn't hold up because they're all bad people. But like
Friends was terrible. I hate that show.
Really bad.
We are not Friends.
The most overrated
bad.
show of all time.
Literally. And like
I was just gonna say, why watch Friends when you could watch Living Single?
I was just gonna say Living Single's so good. I watched that one. I was like, that was way better. Yeah. But anyway, so like the people in Friends and the people in How I Met Your Mother, they're bad people, but they're portrayed as good people. And so that's what makes them problematic. Right. But like, you know, a lot of like detractors, like people who are like anti-woke or whatever, like, oh no, the like PC mob is gonna come for, you know, It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia. But that's never happened because even though at first they were supposed to be protagonists, like you can really tell early on the show, they're like written as protagonists. Like I read a really interesting BuzzFeed article by one of my favorite art journalists. Her name is Scotchy. She's an Indian journalist at BuzzFeed. And she was talking about how like the show kind of aged with the times, and you can tell like as they kind of went on and as time passed, they realized that like there are these social issues that they would be better portraying from an antagonistic sense instead of from a protagonistic sense. And so that's the reason that like even the most like, you know, like leftist, most progressive, like most like, you know, PC person, you know, will probably love It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia. And like, yeah, as is the case with all the shows, they've dropped the ball a few times, but like the important thing here is the messaging and the tone. And like, if you make clear that it's satire, then everyone knows that it's satire and they'll function as such. And so,
yeah. And they're extremely self-aware. That's what like makes it funny too. Like, you know that they're not like punching down or anything like that. They're like, you know, they know why it's funny, even if it's like uncomfortable or something that, I don't know, Always Sunny just...
Well, those are like the Americans that are like confidently stupid and so ignorant in their own beliefs that they don't see themselves as like the flaw in society. Right. And that's how like that whole cast, those characters act in life. And that's like...
Yeah, and those characters
so it
in
is
real
satire.
Life... Yeah, and those characters in real life are just so like insanely like, I mean, like woke is a corny term to use, but they're just so like well spoken on these. Like you would watch the show and you'd be like, oh, the people in the show are probably assholes, but then you hear them talk and you're like, wow, that's amazing. Like Glenn Howerton is a personal favorite of mine. Like I just really look up to him. He was almost Star-Lord. Did you guys know this?
Oh,
yeah. I read that recently.
Incredible.
Yeah. Well, the problem is, here's the problem is like, so when did the first Guardians of the Galaxy come out? Like 2013, right? At the time, Chris Pratt was at the height of his stardom. No one knew he was a Republican. So like what these, like what Marvel did, essentially, they just like plucked him from Parks and Rec and they were like, everyone loves him. He's lovable. Yeah, and he was lovable. He like pulled that off for a while. And then someone noticed that he follows like Candace Owens and Ben Shapiro. And I think that's when the rabbit hole started of like, he would just make these like passive comments about politics, never really took a stance. And then one day someone was like, yo, this man is a Republican. And like, he just never denied it, you know? And then like someone apparently, and then there was a news article that was like,
sorry, this is like the third episode where we've brought this up about Chris Pratt.
Really? That's so funny. So like maybe we should petition to have Marvel remake Guardians of the Galaxy because they did it with Spider-Man. Yeah, they did it with Spider-Man. So like let's just pretend. right? Chris Pratt never
Okay.
happened. Let's like digitally alter it. Because like thinking of it and like thinking of It's Always Sunny and like thinking of AP Bio, which I did see only one episode of, Glenn Howerton would have killed that shit.
Ooh, that's
like,
a great show too.
He really would have killed that shit. And I don't know why we gave it to Chris Pratt instead. Anyway.
It's possible he could be Adam Warlock.
Who's Adam Warlock?
So he, like, in Always Sunny, he always calls himself a golden god, and that's basically what Adam Warlock is. Like, he's this like artificial man who's the perfect man,
and he's gold. He's literally gold.
Yeah, he's literally gold with like long hair. And I feel like if James Gunn is going to do that character, you can't do it seriously. It's got to be tongue in cheek, or else it's going to be very corny. Well, no, because he's not like a funny character. He's just a way too serious character.
Oh my God, Glenn Howerton would kill something like that.
Yeah.
Exactly. Do you think that he's going to bring him into the movies?
I hope so. I want to see him. I would listen. Everyone's joking about this, but I think Glenn Howerton could play a great Reed Richards.
I thought you were going to say
Mr. Fantastic.
Mr.
Isn't there already a Mr. Fantastic?
No, not since the old
this
movies.
version.
Yeah.
There's been like in older iterations, but none of them stuck.
Yeah. My dream actually is to write a Marvel movie starring an Indian character. You know, there's a lot of, did you guys know there's a lot of Asian characters in Marvel? None of them got movies.
Yes.
So like, what is Dr. X's school called? Like Dr. X's school for...
Professor X.
Professor X
for gifted youngsters.
For gifted children.
So there's an equivalent of that in Mumbai. Mumbai is not the capital of India. I almost said that. Oh my God. I would have gotten disowned by Indians. No. Mumbai's like, I don't know. How can I describe Mumbai? Mumbai is like the biggest city. Like it's the most poppin' city. Like I guess it'd be the equivalent of like New York City in America, which nod to you guys, but like kind of like the city that like everyone romanticizes, everyone wants to go to, like just like the most fun, like young people city. So there's one it's also known as Bombay. You've probably heard of it as Bombay as well.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. And so there's a school there in the Marvel Cinematic Universe on Earth 616, which is where and maybe except for Spider-Verse, like all of these movies take place in Earth 616, is the Pan-Asian School for the Unusually Gifted. So it's literally just Dr. X's school, except for Asian kids. So like kind of how everyone in the North American region who's born with like the X-Men gene or whatever goes to Dr. X's school, like everyone in Asia who's born with the unusual gene. I don't think it's the X gene, like it's something else, goes to this Pan-Asian school. And it's just like a school of like really cool, like Singaporean, Indian, Chinese, Japanese, like superheroes. And I just like really want to make a movie about that, you know, like it's such...
Oh, so you're talking about the Agents of Atlas, like that new team?
Is that what it's called?
Where all this is? I think so. Like if we're talking about Greg Pak and like it's like a new team, like they like it's all those like Asian Marvel superheroes, right?
I know that Simu Liu is about to be in one. I forget the name of the character.
Oh, Shang-Chi.
Yeah, Shang-Chi. I don't think that particular character was affiliated with the Pan-Asian School of the Unusually Gifted. There were a lot of Indian people there for sure. I didn't see Agents of Atlas. Like when I was reading about these things online, I didn't see Agents of Atlas anywhere. Is that a newer thing or is that like from, because these are from the comic books in like the early 2000s. Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's very new. Yeah.
Yeah, but that's my dream. I just feel like I'm a huge Marvel fan. I'm also a huge DC fan. I used to be a bigger DC fan than Marvel fan, but DC got really corny, like really quick. Did you guys watch the Snyder Cut?
Of course we did.
We watched the
Okay, and you're also all comedians. So like, what's his name? Was it the Flash?
That guy? The Flash.
Yeah, Ezra Miller.
His dialogue was so contrived. Like I was like, this guy is not
Ezra
funny
Miller.
at all. Like you guys really could have just doled out like $100,000, $200,000 maybe for like a comedy writer to come on and like give him actually good like dialogue, but you can just tell it was written by someone who like is not affiliated with comedy at all, just he thinks are funny. And I heard that Batman versus Superman was also pretty bad. I didn't watch it, but I heard that it was bad. I liked Man of Steel. I know Man of Steel got
Yeah, I love Man of Steel.
Yeah, we liked it.
Wonder Woman 1984 sucked.
Oh, it was terrible.
So bad.
Yep.
We hated it.
We did a whole episode on it.
Yeah.
I heard that Aquaman was good. I haven't watched it yet. And my boyfriend loves that one movie that I also haven't gotten a chance to watch about the kid who can turn into, or the kid who can turn into an adult.
Oh, Shazam.
I like Shazam.
Yeah, he said that one was really good.
Wait, so
I
have
Shazam.
a question. Who would you, if you were going to write for a comic book character, like who would you ideally, whether it be like, because I know you just said you'd like to do the school for film. So what if you were to write your own comic? Which character would you choose?
My own comic.
Like, who would you add your comedic voice to, I guess?
Oh, okay. So you're saying an existing character or one that I would invent?
Oh, you could answer both.
Either.
I'm happy to hear both. Yeah.
Both. Yeah.
So existing character, I haven't thought about like one I would invent by any means, but the existing characters, I have two in mind. So one's name is Reena Patel. She goes by Time Slip. She has pretty much the exact same abilities as Doctor Strange. The reason I really resonate with her, the reason I really resonate with her is because I like read about her when I was a sophomore in college, and she was a sophomore in college when she discovered her powers. And so she actually, like, this is canon. She was discovered by someone in Asia who is like high up with the Avengers. And so she had help from the Avengers, like getting trained and like getting her costume made and stuff, which I thought was really cool. And I thought it would be, if I were to write a movie about that, it'd be a cool way to like tie it into the Avengers. Mm-hmm. Another one that I really like is Dinesh Thiol, and he's known as Grid. So he's an Indian engineer who, like, during like a terraform acid rain, like mist or whatever, like magically combines with his computer. And so he just has the ability to, like plug into any grid, kind of like Cyborg in DC. Yeah. That's his name, right? Yeah, Cyborg. Yeah. He can like plug into any computer, and like he can like, cause a power outage for like a 10-mile radius. And I love.
Oh, he's an Inhuman. He's an Inhuman.
Well, I don't know. Like he was brought up human, and then he just like combines with the computer. He's not a cyborg by any means. He just like wakes up with this ability to like talk to, communicate, and control computers. Yeah, like how Cyborg is half computer, half robot, half human. Yeah. That's not Dinesh Thiol at all. He just like wakes up one day with these abilities after like a terraform mist. And that one is so funny to me as someone who like actively fights Indian stereotypes. And I think it's really corny that they're all portrayed as like nerdy engineers. That one is so funny to me because if you're gonna portray Indian people as like a nerdy engineer stereotype, then make it fucking cool. That's fucking cool. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Like he's an engineer who just woke up one day, like being able to literally engineer like whatever the fuck he wants. And so I really like that. I've always seen
I'm looking him up right now, and they're saying his powers are called magnetokinesis.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Exactly. And so those are the two characters I think that I would want to write for. If it comes to inventing a character, I think I would want to go like the Time Slip kind of route, which is like a college girl who's just like leading a normal life and then all of a sudden discovers she has powers, because I really like that concept. I think Time Slip's powers could be better. Like she can push herself forward in time and backwards in time, kind of like Doctor Strange. But I really don't think there's much you can do with those powers, if I'm being honest. Like, correct me if you guys think I'm wrong, but like if you're fighting a villain, you can't really do anything with like forward ability and backward ability, when it comes to time.
Ooh, I don't know.
You don't think so?
Like how far ahead can she slip?
Yeah.
She can slip any amount.
Oh man,
I feel like that's pretty useful.
She could just slip
I guess she can go in the past and like kill the villain. Has anyone with time traveling abilities ever done that though? I feel like Doctor Strange has some like moral issue about it.
They all have moral conundrums. Me, I would never have that issue. I would go back in time and kill baby Hitler.
Isn't that like the plot of every Terminator movie?
Yeah.
Oh my god, yeah.
That's all it is.
Yeah, literally.
Abby, you should rewrite Emily in Paris, but like the mutant version.
The mutant version? Oh man, a joke. I was actually hoping for a while I could bully them into hiring me as a writer. Like, this girl has a lot to say. Might as well bring her on board.
That would be an awkward writer's room moment.
Well, here's the thing. So here's the thing is, I like at first when I started doing this and it started getting traction, I like reached out to my manager. I was like, so my career's over, right? Like Darren Star, the guy who created Emily in Paris, he also created for sure Sex and the City. I believe also 90210, which are two like very iconic, like early 2000s shows. So I was like, oh, it's over. Like I was like, it's over. He's powerful. He like hates me for sure. But then a whole bunch of people who've worked with him on other projects reached out to me and they were like, no, he sucks. Like for sure. Like you should keep doing this. Like he's abusive. Yeah. He's like known to yell at people. Like he does not treat women well at all. Like his ideas are terrible and he only gets them places because he's like Darren Star, like, with the asterisks and stuff. And I was like, so maybe my career isn't over. Like here's the thing is like when you attack someone who's powerful, it either goes the way it usually goes, which is that your career is over, like goodbye, like pursue something else, or it goes the 1% of the way it happened to go for me, where it kind of expands your career opportunities. Like everyone's kind of like I know a few people reached out to me being like, yeah, we know Darren sucks. If you want to work on anything, let us know. Nice. I was like, yo, cool. Wow. And it was just so fun, like so funny. But my name is still on the Wikipedia, actually. Right now. Go on the Emily in Paris Wikipedia page.
That's awesome.
That's hilarious.
So like it was a fight between like one person and like some like veteran editor, right? They like the veteran editor kept taking my name off and this one person kept going in and adding it. And then like a couple weeks ago, I noticed that my name was officially on and needed to not removed for 5 days. And so I tweeted about it and I was like, hey, shout out to whoever keeps adding my name. We're officially on the Emily in Paris page. And then like 2 minutes after I tweeted that, one of like another veteran editor, because if you like edit enough, you like get that badge or whatever. Nice. Went in, took my name out of the general bio, right? And then he locked the page. He locked the page. He was like, page locked for 30 days, prone to vandalism is what they called it, because they kept adding my name. However, he did forget to take my name out of the sidebar. So if you go to Emily in Paris,
I'm looking at it right now.
Yeah.
And Abby Govindan.
That's awesome.
Yeah, terrible show. And like, yeah, I should rewrite Emily in Paris. I was actually just thinking yesterday of writing an Emily in Paris spec script, because they like comedy writers really love like outrageous spec scripts. Like there was one called like the gang gets AIDS for It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia that got them the people who wrote it a production assistant job. There was one really? Called...
I wrote an Always Sunny spec script called The Gang Makes a Porno. Yeah. I need a job.
Yeah. So like the thing about the spec script. So It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia is actually one of the tougher ones to write outrageous spec scripts for, because the only spec scripts really that people like to read anymore, and this is just what was relayed to me. So if this is false, I'm sorry, but like this is relayed to me by multiple people, is that no one really reads spec scripts anymore unless they're outrageous. And so like, for example, like something that would never happen in the show, but if it did happen in the show, like you understand the characters so well that you capture their voices, and someone reading it would be like, whoa, if this happened in the show, this is exactly how everyone would react. Right. So The Gang Gets AIDS was a popular one that got and then there was one for Friends called The One Where They All Get AIDS. And that one,
it's just AIDS.
Yeah.
It's just a lot of AIDS.
Yeah. And that one got him, the writer, a job on Family or Simpsons, I want to say. And then there was one called Seinfeld 9/11 where it was like,
oh, I've heard of that one. Yeah.
And that one got the writer a job on Family Guy. And so I was thinking of writing like a really, really crazy Emily in Paris spec script. Like
you should do
Emily
that.
in Paris. Yeah. Emily in Paris like gets abducted by aliens and she starts like acting like she's better than them. Like she goes up and she's like, actually, like if you had a Twitter presence, like maybe your subjects would like you better, you know? Just things like that. I mean, like if you guys
9/11.
That one was really good.
My
so
mind
have
is
you
going off. That's hilarious.
Jake, were you the one that's saying that you had read that?
I've heard of it, but I've never read it.
Okay, so I don't remember the specific storylines, but one that really stuck with me is like, so it's 9/11 happens, right? And then they all do fucked up shit about it. And so I've only watched a few episodes of Seinfeld, so I don't actually understand. I don't understand the characters as well. But the one that stuck with me is Elaine.
Yeah.
Elaine. She is dating a guy who she fucking hates. Like she can't stand him, right? She breaks up with him on September 10th. And then on September 11th, he dies in 9/11, and then she uses that to elicit sympathy from everyone.
Oh, that's actually pretty funny, and that's totally on character.
That's what I'm saying. So like you hear that, and you're like, that would never happen in the show. But if it did happen in the show, that's exactly what she would do. And like everyone I talked to about that, they were like, oh, that's exactly what she would do. And I was like, yeah, that's exactly what outrageous spec scripts are. So like, I actually, speaking of How I Met Your Mother, I wrote a spec script about like Barney getting Me Too'd and Ted getting arrested for stalking. And it was just...
that's such a good idea.
Yeah, thank you. No, it was just so much fun to write because like I really feel like I do have the characters' voices down well after being obsessed with that show for like a lot of my adolescent life.
Nice.
And it was just fun to like poke fun at it. And I feel like I would have fun doing a similar thing with Emily in Paris. I mean, like what I was going to say is if you guys really like getting high and watching bad shows, like Emily in Paris is so fun to watch while high. Because like after everything that happens, you're like, did that really just happen? Like, oh my God. Like iCarly becomes funnier when you're high, right? Like Emily in Paris just becomes more of a travesty when you're high. Because you're like, either this is a satire and it's genius or it's genuine.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's a train wreck. Like, which one is it? I'm really like, I'm rooting for one or the other, you know? So,
well, you're saying that a dude from Dude Who Made Sex in the City, it totally makes sense. That was my big COVID watch was Sex in the City.
Sex in the
well,
City.
is that a good show? I get so many mixed
I mean,
reviews.
Okay, so like it's good in the sense that like Sex in the City, it was like fine. I mean, it's terrible in the sense for so many reasons, but like the biggest glaring one is it's supposed to like capture dating in New York City, and it's like only white people.
That's exactly what I was going to say about Emily in Paris. And now it makes sense that both of them are, because Emily, like, she fucks like 30 guys or something crazy, which live your best life, girl. I'm not judging you. Not a single one of them is non-white, though. And she really, like, they really stretch for some of these. Like, at one point, she's sleeping with like a 45-year-old, right? Like a guy who's just like very, very like not attractive at all. Like he has a couple of kids, it's made clear, but she really treats him like this like sex icon. And I was like, what? Like you're trying so hard. Like there's so many 45-year-old, like maybe like immigrants that you could have brought in on this. Like there's a couple of young guys she meets on Tinder on the street that are just not attractive. Like they're just portrayed as attractive because they have the French accent. But you know, like I, as someone who's been on dating apps in Paris, like I can guarantee that like there's so many attractive like men of color in Paris. And I was like, it really would not have killed you. Like, for example, there's a lot of Haitian men because like I may be a little bit off about this, but I think that if you're a citizen of Haiti, you also get priority citizenship into France or something, is how it's explained to me when I was there. And so there's a huge Haitian community there. There's a huge Muslim community there. Just like the normal immigration stories. There's a huge East Asian population there. From when I was there, what I could tell is that a lot of them were either studying abroad or they like came to college abroad. There was a lot of Indian men there too, for the same reason. Like they grew up in India and they like wanted to go to France for college, you know, or like they were doing a semester in France or whatever. Like it really, like you really have to go out of your way to avoid people of color in Paris. And so in a sense, Emily's kind of impressive for doing that. Like it really, she really did treat it like a relay race, you know?
That's her superpower.
That's her superpower.
That was my beef with fucking Girls on HBO, Lena Dunham's Girls. It's a show that takes place in New York City and Brooklyn, and there's like no characters of color of note.
Yeah, and that happens actually.
Never mind the fact that Lena Dunham's
Friends,
a low-key scumbag that people don't like to acknowledge.
Yeah, it's in even in How I Met Your Mother.
In How I Met Your Mother,
you know.
It's
but what I mean is
superpower.
like Girls is billed as a very progressive show, but only has a cast of white women. In one of the most diverse cities in the world.
Right, but that's the thing with Friends and How I Met Your Mother too. I mean, they're not trying to be progressive, but they are.
Girls
in New York
is
City,
funny. Don't get me
they're just
wrong.
always white
There's
people.
nothing wrong.
I heard
with
Girls is good.
Girls
yeah.
is funny.
Like a lot of people,
right.
I just know a lot of people. Like I don't really have an opinion on Lena Dunham either way, but I know a lot of people who don't like her will be like, "Oh, I'm upset at how good this show is," and I'm like, "Yeah, I think you just like Lena Dunham. Like you're allowed to like people, you know."
I don't. She had a book tour and she didn't pay artists and performers to be on it, and she said that like the exposure was enough payment for them to be there. Dude, there's like legitimate beefs with Lena Dunham. Don't get it twisted. Like,
oh no,
it's
yeah,
the same way
I
with
just don't
Chris
know enough.
Pratt. It's the same way with Chris Pratt. Like,
Yeah.
Lena Dunham's cool.
Also,
but,
like
know.
her parents, I think like a large part of the frustration.
They're
with
New
Lena
York
Dunham is that
Hollywood. They're like New York.
Yeah, is her parents are like very wealthy, and so she sold Girls off of like a 2 or 3 page, and it turned out being a good show. So like it was a good investment on HBO's part for sure. But like imagine if they had that same faith in like other 23-year-old creators, you know, like namely like creators of color, like Michaela Cole, for example. She was like killing the game. She made chewing gum at a very young age. I don't know if it was necessarily 23, but I feel like if someone had given Michaela Cole that type of opportunity very early on, like, and Michaela Cole's doing very well for herself. So just imagine if someone had given her the opportunities that were afforded to like Lena Dunham or like Darren Star, even like people just handed this man a show because he's Darren Star, you know? It's just crazy. So you know what's the craziest to me about this Emily in Paris thing is that it's just crazy to me that like the cast probably knows who I am, right? Like that's like a safe assumption.
Do you think they're like, Abby?
Probably. I mean, like it makes sense. Well, like the thing is, it's just crazy to me because, like, I mean, like I am a stand-up comedian. I mean, like I know you guys know how it is, and like you kind of in being on the internet and in touring and stuff, like you get into the proximity of like famous people. But I think that it's safe to say that like most stand-up comedians have never met Beyonce, right? There's like tiers of fame.
Yeah.
Like I could name a cool like famous stand-up comedians that I've hung out with, but I haven't met anyone, for example, who's like been the star of a movie. Actually, I don't even know if that's true. Well, like you get what I'm saying. So like I like in my entire life, I never expected to be in like Lily Collins, like Conscious, you know. I've been a fan of her. I mean, like Emily in Paris was corny as fuck, but like she cut that check and I gotta respect her for it. But I've been a fan of her since I was little. And like if you had told me at age like 10, like, hey, you're gonna beef with the creator of a show that Lily Collins stars in, I would probably have a panic attack. And that's the thing also is like when I first started gaining prominence on social media, like, you know, I would get like shady like I remember Chris D'Elia like quote tweeted me once saying like some really mean thing, and I cried. This was early 2019. I cried. I was like, my career is over, like this is it, I'm never gonna do anything of note. Now whenever this shit happens, I just find it fucking hilarious. Like like when someone told me that Darren Star knew, like they were like, oh, and he's very not happy. Like if someone had told me that 2 years ago, I would have cried. I would have been like, my career is over. But when they told me that a couple months ago, I could not stop laughing. I was like, that's so fucking funny, dude. And I think that that's
so
just
what
like,
you're saying is we should piss someone famous off.
Yes.
Get their attention.
Yeah, for sure.
Chris Pratt, here we come.
Here's a more easier thing to do. Just say you did something and enough people will believe it if you say it with enough conviction. Like the Emily in Paris thing, I was getting like a lot of close friends were messaging me and they were like, wait, did I miss something? Were you actually a part of Emily in Paris? And I was like,
wait, sorry, was it just a tweet or did you write an article? Sorry, I don't know the entire story.
So it was literally like 10 or 12 tweets where I mean, it was more than that objectively, but the series of tweets that picked up were like 10 or 12 in February. And so I got a press inquiry from or like like 3 journalists like cited me as the creator of Emily in Paris, and like I got a press inquiry from BBC, which I think is like what really like sold it. Is someone from BBC was like, and I wanted to bore at it so when I tell
you know how prestigious you look
so
if BBC
bad.
Reaches out for a press inquiry, and
all you did was
lie.
All I did was lie through my teeth. No, I wanted to bore at it so bad. I was on the phone with my manager. I was like, please let me take this interview. And she was like, no, but see, the thing is like online, you're like protected under parody law. But when you like go to a publication and you claim that it's yours, then they can sue you. And I kind of wanted to get sued. I was like, well, I feel like that ups my legitimacy. Yeah, it ups. Every time Sacha Baron Cohen gets sued, everyone's like, that man's a genius. You know, like he bothered people so much that they're trying to get him to pay for it, you know? And I was like, I feel like that would really like up my credibility. And she was like, yeah, but where are you going to get the money to pay out that lawsuit?
Yeah. If Warner Brothers comes at you,
you can't pull trick shit.
Yeah.
You're not allowed to pull trick shit until you have the money to pay for it, is what I'm hearing.
Yes.
But yeah, I mean, like that is really what I want to do with my life in the long term, just like satire, toying with reality. Like I always say my 3 biggest comedic inspirations are Sacha Baron Cohen, Nathan Fielder, and Eric Andre. In that vein, also like Chelsea Handler, I really admire. Yeah. Sarah Silverman. I was going to say Sarah Silver or something. Sarah Silverman, who also did a lot of good work with I Love You, America.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
You know, Sam B has a lot of correspondents who go out into the field and do these kinds of things. Jordan Klepper, like all these people who just like go out in real life and you can just see them toy. Yeah, Jordan Klepper is so funny. Like I remember one of my favorite bits is like when there was this conspiracy back in 2016 that Hillary Clinton had a body double. Do you guys know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
No, I've never heard that.
And
so
yeah, there was a conspiracy that Hillary Clinton had a body double because she had pneumonia for like a couple of weeks, but she was still like on the, you know, press tour or whatever. So a whole bunch of like Trumpers were like, oh yeah, body double. And everyone was like, yes, makes sense. So what Jordan Klepper did, which I thought was fucking hilarious, like it was so funny, so genius. He printed out 2 identical pictures of Hillary Clinton and he showed them to these people at the Trump rally. And he was like, can you tell me which one's the body double? And they would just act like it was so obvious. They'd be like, oh, obviously this one, like this one looks older. Like the tie is a little bit different.
That's funny.
And like just things like that, just watching like, And, you know, we'd all like to think, I mean, like, no credit given to right-wingers, obviously, but in the sense, like, for example, like Nathan Fielder and Eric Andre and even Sacha Baron Cohen to some extent do mess with like very regular people, right? Yeah. And we'd all like to think that if we were in their situation, we would be honest. Like, you know, if Eric Andre is like asking us to lie, like, you know, if like, for example, in like Bad Trip, right? There's a scene where Tiffany Haddish, who plays the criminal sister, is looking for Eric Andre, and the crowd of like real people just saw Eric Andre and Lil Rel like run the other way.
I mean, at the restaurant, right?
Yeah, at the restaurant. And then Tiffany Haddish comes in and she's like, have you guys seen this man? And we would all like to think like, oh, we wouldn't snitch, right? But
everybody
Tiffany
snitched.
Everyone immediately snitched. And just stuff like that, right? Like Nathan Fielder like pretty regularly gets people to lie on camera. And I really like the humanity of that. Like I really, really enjoy that, like, you know, faced with a like in your face situation, like what would most people do? And like another really good segment that Jimmy Kimmel does is called Eyewitness News, where they just go up to people on the street and like say like, did you hear Beyonce fell off the tower? And everyone like pretty much always agrees. And it doesn't even necessarily mean that they're lying, because like implanting false memories is a thing. Like if you hear something like that, if you hear something like that, then like your brain maybe even thinks like, oh yeah, I definitely heard of that. Like who wouldn't have heard it? Like you hear like, oh, Beyonce fell off a tower and got into an accident. Like you would be like, oh, there's no way I didn't hear about that. So yes, I definitely heard about that, you know? And I just love this idea of like toying with reality and like getting people to be their most human selves and like finding comedy.
Yeah, I think Nathan Fielder does that the best out of everyone you mentioned.
I agree. Yeah, he's definitely my favorite. I think Sacha Baron Cohen, and I think they all do it well in like really different aspects.
Of course, yeah.
The thing about Sacha Baron Cohen is he usually, with a few notable exceptions, he's usually doing it to people who deserve it. Like I remember I read an article where Eric Andre was like, oh, I showed Bad Trip, which is his latest movie, to Sacha Baron Cohen. And Sacha Baron Cohen was like, dude, I make fun of shitty rich oligarchs. Like you just do it to anyone, you know? And so Sacha Baron Cohen, I feel okay watching because he's very big on like dismantling power structures. Nathan Fielder and Eric Andre, like everyone's fair game to them, which I love. Another person who's up and coming on this like satire scene is, and I wouldn't even say up and coming because he has his own HBO show, is How To with John Wilson. That one's like, that one's like what I say, it's like a lower stakes version of Nathan For You. Like like John Wilson for sure gets people to like embarrass themselves on camera and like do crazy shit, but you don't feel like as on the edge of your seat about it as you are watching like Eric Andre, like Nathan For You, Borat, whatever. It's just like a very adorable, very cute show.
Wait, did you see the episode where he like is on spring break with that guy and that guy just gives him his life story basically?
Yeah. See, and that's what I'm saying. Like John Wilson is very like cute in the sense of like he prioritizes finding the humanity in people and finding the comedy in that. Like he has a whole, like the whole finale was about his like landlady who he really adores. Like one of my favorite episodes is the referee one and like the covering your furniture one. It's just like I really love this idea of finding comedy in the mundane, like just like everyday situations that happen.
Totally.
Yeah, and that's really what I want to do with my life, like satire, reality comedy, what have you, like just being able to go up to people and getting them to say ridiculous shit. Yeah. Punching down only, of course.
Nice. Are you, like, now that the places are opening up and stuff, are you going to be doing any stand-up anytime soon?
I was thinking about it. So I'm fully vaccinated. I read recently that it was legal to ask people for proof of vaccination. And so I was thinking, now that, like, the vaccine is open, appointment free to like everyone in the country, maybe to wait like a month or so, but I will be in Chicago all of July. And so I was thinking of reaching out to some venues there and asking if they would let me do a set there. I have not performed in person since February of 2020. So it's going to be a rough set. I feel like everyone that I talk to has to know that, like, I'm going to be like, I'm not going to be good, but on the flip side, like pretty much no one else is going to be either. So, you know, but I'm very much interested in transitioning back. I just want to get to a point where I don't have to ask for proof of vaccination, you know, like here in Houston, especially because it's a liberal city. I feel like if I hosted a show, I wouldn't have to ask for proof of vaccination because everyone in Houston who wanted to get vaccinated has gotten vaccinated.
Yeah.
and everyone who doesn't want to get vaccinated, it's like everyone who isn't vaccinated at this point just didn't want it, like not because they aren't able to get it.
I'm in West Virginia right now, and it's this kind of the same. The vaccine rollout was pretty good in our state, but it's like everyone who wants it at this point has probably gotten it, you know?
Yeah, exactly. And I think that's a majority of the country. Like I read that 57% of adults have at least one shot, and we need 60% fully vaccinated for herd immunity to open things back up. So that's going to be like before the end of the year, which I'm hopeful for. It just sucks. I mean, like bringing it back to what I was talking about earlier, I guess it just sucks that like like I read yesterday that the Philippines so far has vaccinated 2% of people, and that they're not going to reach herd immunity without like serious intervention by like Western countries. They're not going to reach herd immunity for another like 8 years. And so, jeez. I mean, the crisis isn't over until it's over for everyone, you know? Yeah. And so the fight goes on. But that being said, it is nice to get a taste of what post-COVID life will look like.
Before you go, just because I feel like it's a question we should always ask, what would be your superpower if you could choose one?
Oh my God, me and my boyfriend have this conversation all the time. So he says that the best one is super speed, because super speed just comes in handy all the time. Like he's like, oh, you know, I could transport anywhere, technically speaking. Like if I'm fighting a villain, like if I can travel faster than he can, then like he's really no match for me. I agree, maybe, but that wouldn't be my top choice. My top choice would be talking to animals for sure. Like I've always felt like a connection to them from when I was a young kid.
Nice.
Yeah, but then I was telling my boyfriend that, and he was like, that just sounds like it'd be depressing, you know, like just like hearing, because I mean, like we don't treat animals well at all. Like I feel like if I could hear animals' thoughts, like the pigeons outside would be like, life was so much easier before these fuckers like industrial revolutionized, you know? Yeah, or like if I ever were to go past like a slaughterhouse or something, like my head would be filled with like
I just hear all the screams.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
So hopefully I'd be able to turn it off and on. I don't know. If I were not able to turn it off and on, I always say that like force fields and invisibility, kind of like Violet from The Incredibles. I think that's a really, really cool superpower.
Nice.
Yeah. What about you guys?
I think, I mean, if it were my choice, I would probably pick like healing, like Wolverine kind of.
Oh yeah, that's cool.
But everyone around me says I just am really loud, so I should be like Banshee or like Black Canary, just like the scream that like destroys things. So
that's so funny. What about you guys?
I feel like mine, I would like, I don't know, like almost like the Purple Man in Marvel, but like basically like me speaking.
Power of persuasion.
Yeah, the power of persuasion. Not necessarily like full on mind control, but like I say something and it suggests something to this person.
Well, do you watch Umbrella Academy?
Yeah. Like that. So like that. Like Emmy Raver's character.
Yeah, exactly.
I heard a rumor.
Do you guys watch Umbrella? Yeah. Do you guys watch Umbrella Academy?
Yeah.
I haven't.
You haven't seen it? Oh, that's good.
One of the characters in it has a superpower where every time she says, I heard a rumor, whatever she says after that happens. So like if she says like, and she usually uses to control people. So like
that's really cool.
Yeah. So she's like, I heard a rumor. Like she used it on her child, which was like a huge point of contention in the show. That's why her husband left her. But like every time her child wouldn't fall asleep, she'd be like, I heard a rumor that you went to bed. And I didn't think that was that bad, but whatever. Like I feel like the brunt of parenting falls on mothers anyways. And it's like, do what you can. You know, the kid needs to sleep anyways. As a father,
I agree with you. The brunt of mother does fall on, or the parenting does fall on the mother, and cut mom some slack, you know?
Yeah, why are you superpower shaming her? That's some bullshit. What about you, Anthony? What kind of superpower?
I would definitely be like Professor X. I want all like the telekinetic, telepathic abilities, do things with my mind, read people's minds.
Evil.
Yeah, I just actually rewatched X-Men: Days of Future Past. That was an unreasonably good movie for the year that it came out.
I liked it.
Yeah,
it was a good one.
Yeah, it was so good.
Yeah, speaking of X-Men, actually, so Elliot Page is in both X-Men and Umbrella Academy. Yeah. You should definitely watch Umbrella Academy. Umbrella Academy is like very good. It's actually, now that I think about it, pretty similar to X-Men, like premise-wise, but it doesn't take place in the Marvel or DC universe. It's just
like I watched the like first half of the first season, but I don't know, something about it I didn't like, but everyone loves it, so I like it a lot.
I liked it. I feel like it. You can tell it's by I think wasn't it created by Gerard Way, dude from My Chemical Romance.
Yep.
Oh yeah, I did. You know who's my favorite character on that though is Aidan Gallagher. So he's like this 14-year-old, and he plays in the movie. Yeah, not in the movie. In the TV show, he plays a 55-year-old stuck in the body of a 14-year-old, and so that just takes so much like mental fortitude. I feel like he's there. He's 14. He's the youngest one. He has the least acting experience, but he really seems the most seasoned of everyone.
Was that his first role?
It was his second role. His first role was on some Nick show that like didn't last longer than like a season or two, but he auditioned for that role. And I remember watching an interview with the creators who were like, the moment he walked in, like his presence, we were just like, and he was actually familiar with the comics, which is very rare for a 14-year-old, you know, like the comics came out, I believe in like the 80s or 90s. And so a majority of the people who auditioned, who said they were fans of the comics were a little bit older, but he just like plays this. And like, so as this 55-year-old, like stuck in the body of a 14-year-old, he like has to curse at people, you know, he's like ordering people around. He's like, you know, he's talking to his like siblings technically who are played by men who are 20 years younger than him, but 20 years older than him. But like in the movie, they're 20 years younger than him. So he has to boss them around and yell at them. He's like, you guys are morons. You're fucking idiots. And it's just like so good. Like that kid alone, I feel like makes the show worth watching. I'm a very big Aidan Gallagher fan. I know a lot of people my age and younger make fun of him. Apparently he's corny. Like he like, apparently he's like very full of himself. But in his defense, I would also be full of myself if I were 14 and not get an actor.
Starring in a show of that. I'd be so full of myself.
Yeah, exactly. I am very of the belief that he's the best youth actor of our generation. I think the Stranger Things kids come in like a close second, but because they have a very similar scenario of like having to play kids who deal with adult scenarios. But I think being a kid who plays an adult is like a different level of difficult. And like, I don't think Aidan, I mean, I could be wrong. I don't think he's won any nominations for his character. And I just think that that's kind of criminal. Like, I really figured he would have gotten an Emmy by now. You know, he might have one. I haven't done that much research on it. I just feel like it would have been bigger news, you know?
Maybe he'll be an X-Men.
Yeah, X-Men, or I was going to say the Young Avengers, or I feel like he would make a really good Damian Wayne, Batman's son.
Yeah. Ooh, I like that.
Oh, yeah. Well, okay. Well, last thing, and then I'll leave. But have you guys seen Harley Quinn, the cartoon?
Yeah, it's awesome.
Oh, it's incredible.
Yeah. Well, isn't Batman's son in that one like a moron?
No, he's like an arrogant little shit.
Yeah,
that's Damian.
Yeah. Oh my God, that was
like
so good.
Yeah, it was so funny.
Yeah, that's a really funny show. That's a really comedically strong show.
That is a really good show. I actually, fun story, and I hope it's okay that I share this with the people. I mean, like, I hope it's okay.
Is it another lie? I want to hear something.
Is it about your iCarly gets AIDS episode?
No. I made a joke that I was like, Harley Quinn's full name is Harleen. Harleen is an Indian name, therefore Harley Quinn's Indian. And the creator of Harley Quinn, the cartoon, saw that and followed me on Twitter. And I was just like, that's so crazy. Nice. Isn't that crazy?
That is cool.
Nice,
yeah, it's just a fun story. I mean, like, it's a fun story because that is, I think, one of my top favorite animated shows. And it's cool that the guy who created it is also just really nice.
No, that's cool.
But yeah, thank you guys so much for having me.
Thanks for coming on.
Thank you for coming on.
It was a lot of fun. Thank you, Abby Govindan, for coming on.
Of course. And I will see you guys really soon.
Later.
Yeah, let's do this again.
Bye.
Hi, you're listening to Comics and Chronic, and I'm Jacob H.
I'm Cody Cannon.
And I'm Anthony Iannaccio.
And you can tune in every Thursday to hear new episodes of Comics and Chronic.
And make sure to follow us on Instagram and Twitter at Comics and Chronic. That's Comics, the letter N, Chronic.
We'll see you guys next week.
Woo!
Peace.